Okay. In the typesetting race at the end of the 19th century, there were several machines that were being developed to solve the problem that printers had in setting the type one letter at a time. One of the more interesting machines in that race, well, by the way, when I say it's a race, think of it as 1870, you have a couple dozen inventors on a starting line. Whoever invents the machine first is going to win a prize. The prize is a significant sum of money. This machine right here takes what I call the logical first step on solving that problem. It's sort of a mechanical way of doing what the human have been doing for hundreds of years, of taking a letter out of a type case and putting it into a stick, assembling your page together, then putting your letters away at the end of the day. Except this is now your cylinder. The machine here is known as the Unitype machine, came out in 1890. The cylinder acts as the case. Each channel would have a stack of letters. There's 90 channels of the machine. You have a keyboard in the front. As you hit the keys on the keyboard, it selects the character. The base underneath this machine is spinning. It gathers up the type, the letters, comes along the side, along the front, and as it progresses in front of the operator, he proofreads it, comes over to the side, you adjust the type into a galley using your spacing material. You take the galley over to your printing area, assemble it on the page, do your printing. When you get done, you take the galley, put it in the back end of the machine, and it's going to put the type away for you. The way it puts away on the side of each piece of type, there's a series of notches, much like the nicks on a piece of type that you might have seen. Those notches in a certain position will identify what letter of the alphabet it is. If there's two notches, it's an A, B, a C, and so forth. So it reads the notches and then pushes it back into the correct spot. This is the Unitype. One of the earliest machines that was competitor to the Linotype machine is this machine here known as the Rogers Typograph, invented by the American John R. Rogers, who's sort of a school teacher by day and an inventor by night. Rogers, rather than work with pre-made letters, is going to now cast the letters that you want to use inside your printing press when you need them. But rather than just casting one letter at a time, we now have a keyboard on the front. You're going to select the characters that you want. It's going to release matrices, casting dies, from the top of the machine. If we looked at one of those, the letter is indented in the side of the bar for a different letter of the alphabet. They assemble right where my hand is at. You push a button, it moves a casting pot forward, squirts hot molten liquid metal up against the casting dies, the matrices, and it forms an entire line, a bar of type. This is used on the printing press that day. At the end, you melt it back down. To start your next line, you got to return all the matrices back up to the top of the machine, grab the handle, lift up the machine, all the matrices slide back down their wires. The machine came out in 1890 in America. Unfortunately, you couldn't make this machine in America. It was found to be infringing on the patents for the Linotype company. John Rogers sends a company over to Germany, sells the rights to it there. The German typograph company was making this machine. You could still buy one in a streamlined version in the late 1960s. A machine related to the Rogers typograph is this machine here known as the Linotype Junior. John Rogers, with his typograph machine of 1890, that machine was found to have infringed upon the patents of the Linotype company. The machine was manufactured in Germany, but Rogers stayed in America. He managed a few years later, around 1894-95, to secure the patents for one of the parts on the Linotype machine, the spaceman. And by having that ownership of that patent, he managed to get the Linotype company to buy out his American Rogers Typograph company. Even though he couldn't make a machine, he now owned a patent that made the Linotype machine work, so they had to purchase out this company. When they came to work with the company, they managed to get him to rework his ideas of the Rogers Typograph, and they introduced a discount Linotype, a half-price machine known as the Linotype Junior in 1902. We still have the casting bars, like on the Rogers Typograph, that are suspended on the wires. There's an indented side on one side for casting. You hit the keys now on a Linotype keyboard. The matrices fall down. They assemble into an area down here. You push a lever. It moves them to the back end of the machine where it does the casting. And then instead of lifting up the machine like on the Rogers Typograph, the machine moves the matrices to the back of the machine, to the wires, and places them back into their holding place. The machine came out in 1902. It was used to compete against the Unitype machine, primarily to match the price of $1,500, except now you're casting brand new type, whereas on the Unitype, the competitor's machine, you're working with pre-made foundry type. When they were successful in destroying their competition, and literally they took their machines in on trade and destroyed them, they then ordered by 1915, 1920, all Linotype Juniors were to also be destroyed. There's only 2 of them that have survived. Both of them. We come up now to the Linotype machine. This is the invention of a German immigrant to our country, Ottmar Mergenthaler. Came to our country as a watchmaker in 1872, which, by the way, is the year that they perfected the typewriter, the Remington typewriter. Ottmar came up with this machine, the beginnings of it in 1886. And it's going to, rather than work with pre-made letters, it's going to cast a line of type for you. You have matrices, casting dies for each letter of the alphabet. The letter would be painted on one side of the rectangular piece, indented on the other side, and at the top there's a V-shaped area with little teeth, and those teeth will actually identify what letter of the alphabet is, an A, a B, a C, and so forth. It's a sorting code. And the machine will use those to hold it and bring the matrices through the system and distribute them back into their correct spots. The keyboard's kind of unique. You got your lowercase letters are here on the black, your capitals are on the white, your numbers and stuff are in the center. As you sit in front of the keyboard, matrices are beginning to fall down. You get a line together. Once you're ready to go, we're going to pull down the lever, moves them over to the casting area, squirts molten metal out, kicks the line out down here. The elevator comes down, picks them all up by their teeth, brings them along the top of the machine. Right now the machine is holding on to those matrices with a set of ridges. At the right time, the matrix has nothing left to hold on to, it drops back in the correct spot. The machine came out in 1886. By 1900, it's a world standard. The Los Angeles Times stopped using these machines in 1974. The New York Times, 1978. Okay, ready? The press right here is a Platen press from 1930, English, from Harold & Sons. This press has the feature, or the fame of having been one of the presses on the Queen Mary. When they built that ship in the 1930s, they hoisted all the heavy equipment into the proper levels while they were building. They had a full print shop on board. They had a small press of this size, one another a little bit larger. Then they had a small newspaper press. And it would fill up this area about what we see in here, including a Linotype. When they docked the ship in 1967, here in Long Beach, California, the printers had actually left the letters inside the press for the last job that had printed. The menu for the December 3rd voyage, 1967. We actually have a copy of that here at the museum. Rather exciting English food, too. The press had to be taken apart piece by piece to get it back out of the ship because they had changed the entrance and the egress out of that shop. The Linotype has survived, as well as one of the other presses. Both are part of this collection.
Go.